I want you to picture something for a second.
Yeah.
You are, just driving down the interstate, you look to your right, and you pass a massive 18-wheeler.
Right.
And you probably just see a truck, right? Just moving freight from point A to point B.
Exactly. Just a big box on wheels.
Yeah. But the reality of the logistics industry in 2026 paints a radically different picture. The highway is actually a stage.
Oh, absolutely. It's a highly visible stage.
Right. And for the modern trucking industry, the spotlight on that stage has never been hotter or, more unforgiving. That old school trucking mentality of just stay quiet, keep your head down, and let the freight speak for itself. That is completely dead.
It is entirely obsolete. I mean, it's just gone. And it's crucial to understand why this shift matters to you, because even if you don't work in supply chain management, you share the road with these vehicles every single day.
Every day. We all do.
Exactly. And the stakes have fundamentally shifted over the last few years. We're operating in a landscape where a single accident or even just a 10-second viral video taken by a disgruntled driver on a smartphone can escalate into a multi-million-dollar reputational crisis.
And we're talking in a matter of hours.
Yes, hours, sometimes minutes. The buffer between a roadside incident and just nationwide public outrage has essentially vanished.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when we talk about a trucking crisis today, we aren't just talking about a blown tire delaying a shipment. Industry PR teams are essentially operating war rooms now to defend against these massive rapid-fire threats.
War rooms is the perfect way to describe it.
Right. And the most acute threat is just the sheer speed of public perception, especially when things go wrong on the road. So what actually counts as a crisis for these companies now?
Well, the speed of perception really is the new battleground. If we look at the most severe risks, the big five, if you will, fail accidents obviously remain at the absolute top of the list.
Of course. The human cost is awful.
It is. The tragedy of the event is always paramount, but from a pure crisis management perspective, what's fascinating here is the immediate, overwhelming domino effect that follows.
What do you mean by domino effect, like the news coverage?
Yeah, exactly. A severe crash triggers instant local and national media coverage, which instantly alerts aggressive plaintiff attorneys.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that triggers immediate compliance investigations by the FMCSA. And then on top of all that, you have intense insurance scrutiny.
Right. The insurance companies are going to want to know every detail.
Absolutely. So even carriers that follow every single regulation to the letter, I mean, they do everything right, they still face massive litigation and reputational damage just by being involved.
Yeah.
The financial exposure is just astronomical.
Which explains why the immediate PR response is so highly choreographed. I mean, it's like being an air traffic controller managing constant emergencies instead of an ostrich burying its head in the sand, right?
That's a great analogy, yes.
Yeah. It's highly regulated communication now. Immediate acknowledgement, no speculation, releasing only verified information. But then you have a slightly different threat vector that moves even faster than a formal investigation, which is, the viral dash cam video.
Right. I mean, we've all seen them online.
Oh, yeah. Constantly on my feed.
Exactly. Dashcam clips or smartphone videos from motorists showing a commercial truck speeding or tailgating, or maybe a driver who is clearly distracted.
Yeah, swerving around.
Right. And the crisis here is entirely dictated by the algorithm. Public perception completely solidifies before the actual facts of the incident are even known, or, before any internal investigation can conclude.
So the narrative is just completely out of the company's hands instantly.
Instantly. If a carrier isn't responding to these viral moments within hours, I mean, the battle is already lost.
And it isn't just what happens on the asphalt, right? You also have these systemic trust issues, major compliance scandals regarding driver qualification, or those big debates over employment classification.
Oh, those easily bleed into mainstream news.
Right. Or think about a data breach on a major TMS platform or an ELD network.
Yeah, cyber attacks are huge.
Because when a cyber attack physically halts trucks from moving, it destroys broker and customer trust instantly. But, looking at the landscape of modern risks in this deep dive, I have to push you on one that really stood out to me.
Okay, sure. Go for it.
Human trafficking allegations. Our sources track this as one of the fastest growing reputation risks, sitting right alongside cyber attacks and viral crashes. Why is human trafficking categorized as a trucking PR risk?
This raises a really important question, and it highlights a profound shift in how the industry views its role in society. Think about the operational footprint of a long-haul trucker.
Okay.
They are everywhere. They are parked at isolated truck stops, rest areas, major shipping ports, and border crossings, literally at all hours of the day and night.
Right, they see everything.
Exactly. And historically, the transient nature of the highway system made it a primary vector for human trafficking. But for decades, that was viewed purely as a massive societal liability that just happened around the industry.
But the industry itself was, I mean, largely passive about it. It was viewed as a law enforcement problem, not a trucking problem.
Precisely. But the modern shift is brilliant. Carriers are now aggressively training their drivers to actively recognize the indicators of trafficking.
Oh, wow. So they're actually teaching them what to look for.
Yes, they are teaching them how to report suspicious activity safely, and they're implementing strict anti-trafficking protocols fleet-wide. They are basically deputizing their workforce.
So by putting eyes and ears everywhere, they turn a passive liability into a proactive stance.
Yes. Think about it. When a carrier trains a 5,000 truck fleet to actively combat trafficking, it generates incredibly positive media exposure.
Oh, I bet.
It builds immense brand trust with shippers who, they have their own ESG goals to meet. They flip a really dark reality of the environment they operate in into a tangible demonstration of their core corporate values.
That makes a lot of sense mechanically. But I mean, balancing all these vectors, viral videos, cyber attacks, compliance, social issues like trafficking, it naturally begs the question of how a company possibly defends against it all.
It is a lot to juggle.
Right, you can't just have a PR person drafting press releases anymore. You need serious infrastructure, which brings us to the high-tech corporate defense mechanisms these fleets are deploying now.
Yeah, the transition from reactive damage control to proactive tech-driven crisis management is really the defining feature of logistics in 2026. The preparation tools are just heavily automated now.
So how does that work before an incident even happens?
Well, before an incident even occurs, top-tier carriers have cross-departmental crisis teams. So that's operations, legal, HR, and communications all locked into a synchronized response plan.
Everyone is on the same page from second one.
Exactly. When a critical event registers on their telematics system, they have multi-channel automation that instantly pushes SMS, voice, and email notifications to all the stakeholders.
Right, I read about the holding messages in the source material. They use pre-written holding messages deployed within minutes, right?
Yes. Simply to confirm to the public and the media that they are aware and managing the situation. It buys them the most precious commodity in a crisis, which is time.
And they are using that time to protect what is now being called the digital safety resume.
It's such a crucial concept. A carrier's reputation isn't just this abstract feeling anymore. It is a tangible, highly documented ledger.
So what does that resume actually look like?
This resume involves actively logging and publicizing every instance of documented driver coaching. It involves maintaining pristine CSA scores. It requires actively collecting positive delivery reviews at every single customer touchpoint. They are intentionally building a reputation buffer.
So it operates almost like a mathematical shock absorber.
That's a great way to put it.
Because if you have 10,000 documented instances of safety, compliance, and on-time delivery, it dilutes the impact of that one inevitable negative incident.
Exactly. And the technology driving that buffer is incredibly sophisticated. Consider the deployment of AI interventions, like the Motive AI Dashcam Plus.
Right, this isn't just a basic camera.
No, this isn't just a passive lens recording video to an SD card. It uses edge computing and artificial intelligence to interpret the kinematics of a crash in real time.
Wait, really? It interprets the crash as it happens?
Yes, it identifies exactly what happened, isolates the exonerating footage, and instantly uploads it to the cloud. So before a local news chopper is even in the air, the corporate crisis team already has AI-flagged video proving their driver was cut off and not at fault.
Which halts the negative narrative immediately.
Immediately.
That's incredible. And they are applying similar tech to their public footprint, right? Using gating mechanisms to, like, quarantine negative customer reviews.
Yes, the review quarantine is a fascinating tool. When a frustrated broker or receiver goes to leave a one-star review about a delayed load, the reputation management software actually intercepts it.
It just stops it from posting.
Well, it routes that negative feedback into an internal dashboard, alerting a terminal manager immediately.
Oh, I see.
This gives the company a window to call the client, resolve the underlying issue privately, and fix the relationship before they even ask for a new public-facing review.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and I have to challenge this whole framework for a second.
All right, let's hear it.
Because analyzing these tools, the AI exoneration, the review quarantines, the automated holding messages, are these carriers actually changing their internal culture to be safer? Or Are they just playing highly sophisticated defense?
Yeah, it's a very...
Because it feels a bit like they are treating the symptoms with expensive tech just to dodge nuclear lawsuits,
Hmm.
rather than actually curing the disease of unsafe operations.
No, that's a very fair critique.
Yeah.
And it's a tension the industry wrestles with daily. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of what they call safety-first storytelling, the reality is that the strongest logistics brands have realized they aren't actually marketing trucks or freight capacity anymore.
Because freight capacity is commoditized, right?
Exactly. Freight capacity is commoditized.
So they are basically marketing the absence of risk.
They're marketing safety and reliability as their core product. The narrative has fundamentally shifted because the market demands it. Shippers won't put their freight on a risky carrier because if that carrier crashes, the shipper gets sued too.
Oh, right. The liability travels up the chain.
Exactly. So the culture has to change. You see executives acting as thought leaders now, publishing rigorous data on supply chain resilience and safety tech.
Yeah.
You see deep, authentic community engagement. They're running local food drives, providing disaster relief logistics, aggressively hiring and training veterans.
Getting involved in the community.
Right. All of this is designed to build deep goodwill well before a crisis hits. You cannot fake that level of cultural engagement with just an AI dashcam.
Point taken. The corporate machinery, the boardroom strategy, the holding messages, the community outreach, that sets the stage. But corporate strategy only goes so far.
Sure.
Ultimately, the literal front line of this PR war is sitting behind the wheel of a 60-foot vehicle with a smartphone in their hand. Which brings us to the individual driver and the intense micromanagement they face.
The individual driver is simultaneously a carrier's greatest public relations asset and its most terrifying vulnerability.
It's a crazy dichotomy.
It really is. And
Yeah.
because of that dichotomy, the rules they must follow, especially post-accident, are incredibly rigid.
The post-accident protocol in the source material is intense. Like if a driver gets into a collision, the absolute golden rule is do not post on social media at all.
None. Zero posting.
Because plaintiff attorneys and insurance adjusters are monitoring everything. And they say, do not post your own dash cam footage without attorney approval. Do not delete existing posts because that is legally considered spoliation of evidence.
Right, which will get you in huge trouble.
Exactly. And if a driver is absolutely forced by frantic family members to post an update, they must stick to a rigid, emotionless script. Something like, I was in an accident, I'm injured, seeking medical treatment, grateful for support. You never accept responsibility, and crucially, you never ever say you are fine.
Because saying I'm fine on a casual Facebook post just to reassure your mother can and will be used by an insurance adjuster to deny a legitimate medical claim for whiplash or spinal injury months later.
Yes, from a Facebook post.
Yes, the legal, medical, and PR spheres are completely intertwined in that single moment.
It functions exactly like digital Miranda rights for truckers.
Digital Miranda rights, I love that.
Because anything you post, tweet, or upload, even a well-meaning, hey guys, minor fender bender, but I'm okay, can and will be weaponized against you in a courtroom. It requires total discipline.
It really does. Digital Miranda rights is the perfect way to frame it, and it highlights the immense pressure these professionals operate under every day. But, it's not solely about risk mitigation.
Right.
There is an entirely proactive side to the driver's role in public relations, particularly when we examine the independent owner-operator.
The solo entrepreneur. This is a fascinating evolution to me. It isn't just the mega fleets engaging in PR. Solo truckers are essentially acting as their own PR agencies now.
They really are.
They're becoming micro-influencers within the freight ecosystem. They are building immense authority by sharing their daily load updates, posting photos that are clean DOT inspections, and basically acting as local freight market experts on social media platforms.
And this ties into the broader 2026 trend of driver advocacy PR. The data consistently shows that the general public, and more importantly, freight brokers, trust real working drivers vastly more than they trust corporate spokespeople.
Of course they do. It's authentic.
Exactly. When an owner-operator publicly and consistently emphasizes their safe driving habits, their cargo securement techniques, and their on-time delivery record, they aren't just farming for likes online.
They are negotiating leverage.
Exactly. Brokers use software like Carrier 4LN to evaluate risk. When a broker sees a solo operator with a pristine digital safety footprint and a highly professional online presence, that driver becomes a premium service provider.
Oh, I see.
They bypass the cheap, risky freight on the load boards, and they secure significantly better rates per mile because they represent zero reputational risk to the broker.
Which is a brilliant mechanism for an independent operator to actually increase their margins.
It really is.
But this immense reliance on the quality, the discipline, and the public image of individual drivers brings us to some pretty harsh realities regarding the current talent pool. The 2026 regulatory landscape is incredibly unforgiving, and it is squeezing the driver pipeline tighter than ever before.
If we look at the specific regulatory pressures defining 2026, you see an industry that is just trapped in a pressure cooker. First, you have FMCSA MODIS.
Right, the new system.
Yes, which instituted much tighter registration controls, making it way harder for marginal operators to even get operating authority in the first place. Then you have the reality of CSA score transparency.
Where everything is public.
Everything. Safety violations are reported publicly, and a single hours of service violation or a maintenance failure can spike a company's risk score instantly, visible to any shipper or broker.
Combine that with the financial threats, too. The industry is being completely battered by nuclear verdicts.
Oh, the nuclear verdicts are destroying companies.
These massive, multi-million-dollar litigation outcomes from crashes that totally dictate how insurance companies underwrite policies now. And then you have the SAFE Act, which targets chameleon carriers.
Right, the chameleon carriers.
For those who don't know, those are the fraudulent, unsafe companies that get shut down by regulators for critical violations, only to magically reopen the following week under a brand new name and DOT number. Regulators are systematically dismantling those loopholes now.
Yeah, they are cracking down hard. Verified identity and a highly documented safety record are really the only ways to survive that regulatory gauntlet today. But the most significant pressure point dictating industry behavior right now is the driver pipeline itself.
Let's talk about that pipeline, because there is a highly specific, honestly, shocking metric defining the 2026 landscape from our deep dive today.
The training providers.
Yes. The FMCSA systematically removed approximately 3,550 training providers from their registry between late 2025 and February 2026.
It's a staggering number.
Over 3,000 training schools and providers purged in a matter of months, likely for substandard training or fraudulent certification. But, from a strategic standpoint, how does a government regulatory purge become a public relations issue for a trucking carrier? It seems like an operational headache, sure, but why PR?
Well, it all comes down to cause and effect. When the government abruptly removes over 3,000 training providers, the pipeline of new, legally qualified CDL drivers drastically shrinks overnight.
Like turning off a faucet.
Exactly. The chronic driver shortage transforms into an acute crisis. So if you are a fleet executive, how do you attract the few good, safe, qualified drivers left in that rapidly shrinking pool?
You can't rely on a generic sign-on bonus anymore, that's for sure.
No, the bonus just isn't enough anymore. Recruitment and retention become your primary PR priorities. Your corporate reputation is your HR engine. Top-tier drivers want to work for a carrier that will fiercely protect their CDL. They want to work for a company that deploys AI tools to exonerate them instantly in a crash, not a company that will just throw them under the bus to settle a lawsuit quickly.
That makes total sense.
If your carrier has a negative digital footprint or a reputation for unsafe equipment, you simply will not be able to put a qualified driver in the seat in 2026.
Your PR is your HR. That is a brilliant connection to make.
Yeah.
And we are seeing certain companies perfectly execute this strategy, right?
Yeah.
The industry consensus highlights specific organizations getting this right, the best in class.
Yes, there are clear leaders here.
You look at carriers like J.B. Hunt, Schneider, Old Dominion Freight Line, Roll Transport, Prime Inc., alongside major advocacy groups like the ATA and the Canadian Trucking Alliance.
They are setting the standard.
They aren't just surviving the pressure cooker. They are thriving because they integrated safety culture directly into their public identity long before the regulatory heat ever got turned up. They proved their reliability through transparent driver coaching and heavy investments in safety tech, and that foundation makes them the employer of choice.
Exactly. And to synthesize the core mechanics of all this, in 2026, reputation isn't a crisis response you activate after things go wrong.
Right.
It isn't just a clever press release, it is a tangible asset earned every single day. It is earned through the disciplined physical actions of the drivers out on the road, through heavy proactive investments in AI preparedness, and by building an uncompromising internal culture of accountability that naturally projects outward to the public.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about AI dash cams interpreting kinematics, the absolute necessity of digital Miranda rights for drivers,
Yeah.
and how the highway has fundamentally transformed into a high-stakes stage.
It's a totally different world out there.
It really is. So I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. The next time you are on the highway and you merge in front of a massive 18-wheeler, realize you aren't just passing a truck delivering consumer goods. You are interacting with a rolling, highly surveilled PR entity.
$1 million brand on wheels.
Exactly. Their safety is quite literally their marketing. And as fellow drivers navigating that exact same road, whether we realize it or not, we are essentially testing their $1 million crisis management plans every single day.